So yeah, believe it or not, the OnePlus Watch 2 might actually be the wearables smartwatch we've all been waiting for. Not only does it boast battery life that isn't total arse juice, but it also costs just £299, $299 or €329, depending on which bit of the world you've stuck your oar in. Not a bad price at all for a wearables smartwatch. Now, pre-orders are live now until March the 3rd. It actually goes on general release March the 4th. I've had it slapped on my pale, spindly northern wrist for almost 2 weeks now, so here's my full OnePlus Watch 2 review. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So let's begin with a squint at the design, and what you've got here is a 47mm stainless steel chassis. And it's certainly a bit of a chonky boy, one of the biggest smartwatches that I've reviewed in recent times. And between the watch body and that rubbery strap, this thing weighs 80 grams. Now, thankfully I got used to it pretty fast. It certainly doesn't feel as ridiculous as having Motorola's slightly confused and flexible concept phones strapped to your arm. But it's not exactly made for feminine wrists either, as you can probably tell. You got two different colour options for the OnePlus Watch 2, either black steel or radiant steel. I mean, they both look rather steely, but I've got to admit, I think the OnePlus Watch 2 looks rather smashing. It looks and feels premium, despite costing less than most of its wearables rivals. And I really like this green strap that came with it as well. It's rather fetching. I think it complements the watch nicely. The watch face itself is protected by sapphire crystal just as well, because there's no sticky out bezels to help protect it. And as regular viewers will know all too well, I am rather flappy, so I do end up smacking my arm off all kinds of different stuff. So far, touch wood, after almost 2 weeks, no scratches, no nicks, no sign of damage at all on there. Kind of as you would hope. It's also IP68 water and dust resistant and can survive up to 5 atmospheres of pressure. So yes, you definitely can leave it strapped to your arm when you jump in a bubbly bath. In fact, the OnePlus Watch 2 boasts military-grade durability. It's 810H certified. And for that, it passed no less than 16 tests, which probably would have seen me off, including surviving high and low temperatures, impact damage, vibrations, all kinds of stuff. So yes, definitely big, definitely chunky, but if you don't mind that, then the OnePlus Watch 2 is a bit of a winner in the design department. Now, to actually pair the OnePlus Watch 2 with your smartphone, you will need to download the OHealth app. The whole connection process was nice and straightforward, and then you've got full access to a whole bunch of device settings, changing up the watch faces, the general UI layout, and you can customize all the other bits, including which apps are allowed to notify you via the watch, and of course all of your health metric shenanigans. All of your health data, etc. is synced up with this app, so you can check it all right there on your smartphone. But of course, for a quick update of your daily stats, you can just check out that gorgeous 1.43-inch AMOLED display. I wouldn't say the bezels surrounding the screen are particularly dinky, but it's a good sized display. I certainly had no trouble squinting at tiny text trying to work out what was going on. And those visuals are nice and crisp thanks to the 466 by 466 resolution, given 326 pixels per inch. The viewing angles are excellent, nice and wide, and the brightness hits around 1000 nits when it maxes out. The auto brightness had absolutely no issues with that on the OnePlus Watch 2. In fact, I could see clearly what was going on out in bright sunlight, and it dims right down in the evening times. And if you've used wearables before, you'll know exactly what's going on here. You can drag down a settings menu, toggle on all kinds of stuff like a do not disturb, change the brightness, the volume levels. You can also directly hook up some Bluetooth buds in order to stream music direct from the smartwatch. And you got a whole settings menu in here as well for more customization, anything that you can't do via the app. If you swipe up, you'll access your notifications and get a quick glimpse at any messages that have popped in, whatever else. You can, in OHealth, say which apps are allowed to give you a buzz on the wrist, though not all of my apps were actually here. Stuff that I install myself, like Zoho Mail, for instance, Gmail's not in there, but I do get notifications from them, so basically it's just an opt-out service for other stuff. And the notification support is excellent, as it is, of course, Google's wearOS, so you can archive and delete messages. You can even reply direct via the OnePlus Watch 2 using a surprisingly effective on-screen keyboard, or just by using your voice with the built-in mic, which is certainly my preferred option. And yeah, a few times I've tried to reply to a message, thought it all went through fine, and then checked my phone and actually I hadn't sent the reply at all, which was slightly annoying. Just one of a few different little software quirks, shall we say, that I've seen on the OnePlus Watch 2 these past couple of weeks, but I have been using it pre-launch, so software weirdness is to be expected. And of course, you'd hope that most of these bugs will get ironed out in various updates really soon. In fact, I've already had one update which has sorted out a few of the more quirky moments. And then if you swipe left and right, you've got various widgets that are again fully customizable via the watch and the app. So you can quick start a timer, check out your health stats, see what your heart's up to. Bloody hell, my ticker's all over the place today. You can probably tell the 2 moments where I decided to down a double espresso. But yeah, you can quickly and easily customize these just by long pressing on them. As you can see there, you can add extra widgets in, reorganize them into whichever order you prefer, etc. And then you've got the watch faces, and OnePlus offers around 20, I believe it is, built-in watch faces. Some analog, some digital, sports and all kinds of different info. And quite a few of these watch faces do rather loudly and proudly sport that OnePlus branding, which I guess you might enjoy if you are a fan. Personally, I found it about as appealing as having a James Corden face with his smug chops gurning out at you every time you glance at your wrist. And the good news is you can customize each of these watch faces as well just by tapping down here. As you see, you've got a wide variety of color choices. And not only that, but you can also change up the actual complications which appear with lots of different options. So you can fast start a workout, for instance. Otherwise, you've got the likes of setting a timer, an alarm, all of your various health stats, bit of calendar action, battery level. Yeah, plenty of stuff. Gotta say though, that is one ugly watch face I've just inadvertently created there. If we dive back into our great mate OHealth, you can also download up to around 80 more watch faces via here. Again, covering a wide variety of different designs. There's a fun section if you happen to like fun. I don't. So yeah, absolutely dozens of other buggers via OHealth, but of course this is also a wearaOS watch, so you can download tons more from Google's Play Store. Now, if you're particularly eagle-eyed, you may have spied the fact there's 2 separate buttons here on the right edge of the OnePlus Watch 2. If you tap the top one, this will wake up the watch, and then tap it again, takes you into your apps menu. By default, this comes with a really dumb Apple Watch style presentation, which I swiftly got rid of. Just long press on it, you can do a grid view or a list view. And it's just so much easier to see what's going on then. And yeah, you got all the basics on there, your health tracking, shenanigans, timers, alarms, good old Torch app, how we love that in the middle of the night when we desperately need a piss. Good Google Wallet, Google Maps, Google Assistant, Google everything. However, I really don't like how this button actually rotates, just like the rotating crown on the likes of the Samsung Galaxy watches, but unfortunately it doesn't actually help you scroll through any menus or anything. You've got to use the touchscreen for absolutely all your navigation, and it's just very irksome. If you double tap this sucker, well, that'll load up the most recent app, in this case the Play Store, where you can download even more apps. And then if you long press this, this will load up the Google Assistant. When was the last time Sunderland Football Club were in the Premier League?
According to Sunderland AFC, Sunderland remained in the Premier League until May 2017, as David Moyes' side were relegated following a disappointing campaign.
Disappointing is kind of an understatement. I can't actually believe it was that recent. It feels like half a century ago. The actual mic and speaker on the OnePlus Watch 2, absolutely fine as well. Speaker could maybe do with being a little bit beefier given the chunkiness again of this thing. So you probably struggle to hear it if you're in a very noisy environment, but then you get the replies right there on the watch face as well. And even if I was in a noisy environment, that mic had no issues whatsoever picking up on my dulcet tones and actually figuring out what I was saying despite my accent. And then if you were to tap this bottom button here, that'll load up the workouts app so you can get a bit of exercise on the go if that is your bag. Otherwise, you can double tap it for the Google Wallet. And as with most things in wearaOS, this is of course fully customizable via the settings. Now, so far, so pretty typical as far as wearaOS smartwatches go, but where the OnePlus Watch 2 really deviates from its rivals is the chipset, the brains of the show. Or should I say chipsets, because it's got 2 of the buggers stuffed in there. No wonder it's such a chunkster. So the OnePlus Watch 2 uses a basic BES 2700 chipset when the watch is just running RTOS. And this is apparently a minimal energy efficient OS that those clever-ass OnePlus bods have made in-house. And RTOS, or RTOS, is always ticking away in the background, measuring your heart rate, keeping tracks of your vitals, your step count, all that kind of stuff, while draining very little juice. And then when you actually go to use the watch, you wake it up, you start interacting with wearaOS, well, it then seamlessly swaps to that Snapdragon W5 Gen 1 chipset. This obviously saps the old battery a bit faster, but it can capably run all of your apps nice and smooth like. And the setup actually isn't that different to what you've got with Qualcomm's Snapdragon W5 Plus Gen 1 chipset, which actually has a second ultra-low power core processor. But this setup certainly seems to work really, really well here on the OnePlus Watch 2, but more on that when I cover battery life. And certainly the everyday performance here is absolutely banging. I haven't really noticed much at all in the way of judders or pauses. It's a very responsive watch, wakes up immediately, so you certainly can't tell when it's swapping between the two different processors. So yeah, you've got all the usual fitness tracking shenanigans, of course, with the OnePlus Watch 2, including step count, calorie count, yada yada. Step count I found was always a little bit optimistic, to be honest. I'm currently reviewing a fitness tracker at the same time, and the OnePlus Watch 2 always reckoned I'd done thousands of extra steps in comparison. And I gotta say, sadly, I think it's the fitness tracker that's more accurate. But as I've already pointed out in this video, I do have a tendency to flap my arms about. Maybe I just flap my left arm about a lot more than my right arm or something. And it just reckons that that's me walking. But certainly the heart rate monitoring, the stress monitoring seems a lot more on point. And oh yes, you've also got the obligatory sleep tracking as well, which actually seems reasonably accurate. Sometimes it thinks you're still asleep when you are actually just lying there staring at the ceiling. But if you want to be told off for never actually getting enough sleep, well, you know, this will do the job. You do have the option of it monitoring your breathing while you sleep as well, but I find that a little bit creepy to say the least. That does have an impact on the battery life. And I'm also not a fan of how the OnePlus Watch 2 equates how many calories you've burned over the course of the day with a serving of food. Mostly because it's just bloody depressing, like, oh, you've walked 18 miles, well done, have a hobnob. And as usual, of course, you've got an excellent selection of exercises that the OnePlus Watch 2 can track. Pretty much anything you could possibly imagine is stuck away in here. All kinds of different martial arts exercises you can do at home. Cycling, swimming, yoga, dancing, outdoor recreation. My personal favourite, ball sports. Play a lot of those. You also got dog walking in there. Not really sure why that's different to normal walking, apart from stopping every couple of minutes while your dog checks out some other dog's. And also, runners are really well catered for here with the OnePlus Watch 2. Apparently it can measure your pace, your cadence, your GCT and balance. I don't know what any of that stuff means. And also, apparently, OnePlus has randomly added enhanced badminton tracking on this thing for all you shuttlecock smashers out there. And personally, I tested out some boxing and some HIIT training stuff, and certainly this seems to be reasonably accurate as far as the heart rate zones go. That's a sort of rough stab at the calorie count as well, which is more accurate with the boxing than it was with the HIIT stuff, certainly. And you've also got dual frequency GPS support as well, L1 as well as L5. I certainly found the watch was quick to find my location. The actual tracking itself was reasonably accurate. Occasionally went a little bit schizo, like in this bit here. But certainly just for tracking distance, if you're out having a jog or a walk or whatever, it'd do the job. The one area where I truly adored the OnePlus Watch 2 is the area where most smartwatches frankly suck monkey nuts, and that's the battery life. This proved to be exceptional for a wearOS smartwatch, at least thanks to the dual chipset, the dual OS setup, and also the fact it's got a pretty sizable 500 mAh capacity battery stuffed in there. Absolute chonkster. And I found with the always on display turned on and pretty much all of the monitoring stuff as well, apart from the creepy sleep breathing thing, I managed to get 3 full-on days of use out of the OnePlus Watch 2 in that smart mode. You can stretch that out a wee bit longer by having it automatically activate sleep mode at night, for instance. You could also activate a power saver mode, which will give you over a week of life while still offering up limited exercise tracking. You got sleep tracking, notifications. Quite a few features still packed in there. Thankfully, it doesn't kill everything except for the clock. So yeah, compared with most of the wearOS watches, the likes of the Pixel Watch 2, you're having to charge it every friggin' day. Even the better Samsung ones, you're generally charging up at least once every couple of days, unless you're really limiting the use of the thing. So that's absolutely ruddy wonderful. And then when it is drained, just slap it on the bundled dock. 10 minutes on that dock will give you a full day of use, otherwise it just takes an hour to fully charge. And even the dock is bloody brilliant. It's nice and dinky, easy to slip into a pocket or bag or whatever, and it just takes a Type-C USB cable, so you can use your phone charger to charge your phone and also your watch. Anyway, that right there, my lovelies, is what I reckon of the OnePlus Watch 2 after having it slapped on my arm for almost 2 weeks. I've certainly banged on at great length now. I really, really like it, despite a few early software quirks, which I'm sure will get sorted right now. It's worth it for the battery life alone, frankly. What do you guys reckon? Are you tempted by the OnePlus Watch 2? As I say, just £299 right now. Please do let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Poke subscribe, ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Stay tuned for what I reckon of the Xiaomi smartwear, whatever the frick this thing's called again. So I literally just got back from MWC a couple of hours ago. My brain is fried. Anyway, I'll shut up and go away now. Love you.